All that's good. That is what we are made of. Everything that is good. That is the truth of who we are. And what I love about Sunday mornings is that's when Spirit-filled people get together to lift each other up. And so it's great to be here with you today. And I love that I get to be your speaker and your musician. And it's so good that my speaking voice sounds like my singing voice. So it's not like, who is that? What person did we get up there this morning? The story that I have to share with you this morning is called Crossing Your Niagara Falls, and it's all about being strong and courageous. And I wrote this talk originally in 2019 as 2019 was rolling over into 2020. And I couldn't wait. Since 1983, I have been waiting for 2020 because that was when Blade Runner came out. And Blade Runner was all about, what the world was going to be like in 2020. And so I couldn't wait from that time to see what was I going to look like in 2020. What was the world going to be like? Were we going to really have flying cars? Would we all be wearing trench coats? Would we have robots? What was it going to be like? And so I wrote this talk, Strong and Courageous, and I had no idea just how strong and courageous I was going to have to be once 2020 rolled in. And so the affirmation that we're going to do is, a lot of people are familiar with Romans 8:28, and that is, all things work together for the good. Or Romans 8:31, if God is for us, who could be against us? But in Joshua 1:9, it says, have I not told you, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for God is with you wherever you go. And so that is what our affirmation actually is based on this morning. And join me. I am strong and courageous. Wherever I am, God is. Let's say that one more time. I am strong and courageous. Wherever I am, God is. And to illustrate this morning, I'm going to tell you this story about the first guy to cross Niagara Falls, and his name is Charles Blondin. And he was alive in the 1800s. He was a tightrope walker, an acrobat. And during the 1800s, there were so many exciting things happening, right? The light bulb came about. There was the electric motor, motion pictures, cars were coming on the scene. And people were really interested in finding just new ways to be entertained. And so acrobats and the circus and all of that was kind of what was happening then. So Charles Blondin, he's this guy from France, and he says, okay, I got something. I'm going to be the first guy to walk across Niagara Falls on a tightrope. And so here's the way it worked back in the 1800s. Well, let me tell you first, here's how it would work today if you were going to cross Niagara Falls on a tightrope. And since I know some of you may be planning that, I'm just going to let you know how it goes, okay? What they would do today is they would take this really thick cable, this steel cable, and they would go from one side, so, America over to Canada, and you would attach yourself to the cable and start walking across. And if anything happened, you just sit down on the cable, and a helicopter comes and picks you up. So it's super easy, okay? It's no problem. And we'll be looking for your pictures on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So here's how they did it back in the 1800s. They had ropes that were made out of hemp. And being from Colorado, they probably sourced them from here. One side goes over, on the American side, and then the other side's over on the Canadian side. And there are these ropes called guy ropes. And they stretch from like one side of the cliff over to the rope and another side of the cliff over to the rope. And they just do that every 50 feet to keep the tightrope stable, to keep it from swaying. But what happens is there is a 50-foot expanse or so in the center where there can be no ropes that will reach the middle of it. So you're on your own at that point. So in 1859, Charles Blondin gets ready to do his incredible walk across Niagara Falls. And 25,000 people gather to watch him fall to his death. I mean, how is that a vote of confidence, right? But 25 people gather and he makes it. And he is a sensation at that point. He is a superstar. And he just keeps doing this stunt over and over again. Every time he does it, he has this different thing that he does. So one time he walks to the center and he stands there and he pulls up this bottle of wine and he has some wine in the middle. Or he goes out to the center and he has like a steak dinner. Or he walks out to the center, and I can't believe he did this, but he took a picture, and it's not like he has, like we would do it now. We'd be at the center, and we'd just be like this with our iPhones. They had those phones on those cameras on tripods. So he gets out there, and you got to put that little hood on. All of that, he takes a picture. So one day he does this stunt where he goes over to Canada, and he comes back and he's pushing a wheelbarrow. And when he gets to the other side, it's just, everybody's like, yeah. And he goes, hey, everybody, how many of you believe that I could push somebody in this wheelbarrow from one side to the other? And by this time, he's a superstar. He's done it so many times. Everybody's like, yes, we believe you can do it. You could do anything. So yes, we believe that you can push that wheelbarrow over to the other side. And he says, who's getting in? And it is crickets. So one guy raises his hand. He says, I'll do it. And that is Harry Colcord. Harry Colcord is Charles Blondin's manager. So I don't know what this conversation was like on the way to the gig. If it was like, listen, Harry, if I ask who's getting in and nobody answers, you're going to have to do it because you can't just leave me hanging. So let's go to this next slide. You could see kind of what it looked like when Charles Blondin was going across. That's Charles right there on the tightrope. And all he had was just this stick to balance himself and that fabulous outfit. And that was all he had. So he and Harry decide they're going to go across. And this time he's like, you know what, I don't think I'm going to do the wheelbarrow thing. Actually, Harry, I think you're going to get on my back. And so on the next slide, you can see Harry. So they get across, and remember, when you get to the center, there are no more of those guy ropes to keep you steady. It's just you, and you've got to keep your balance. So they get to the center, and Charles says to Harry, Harry, stop screaming. No, I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. He didn't say that. He said, Harry, look up. From here on out, we are one mind, one body, and one soul. When I sway, you sway. When I move, you move. When I breathe, you breathe. From here on out, there's no more Harry and Charles. You and I are one from this time forward. And they make it. They get all the way across. Charles actually did this like another 300 times. Harry never did it again. But Charles kept doing it. I think he kept doing these tightrope walks up until he was like in his 70s or 80s. Like he did it for a long time. But this little talk between Charles and Harry is how I think Spirit talks to us, how God speaks to us when we are going through our own challenges, when we have to cross our own Niagara Falls. And that can be grief or tragedy, right? It could be a time when we're like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. Or it could be some kind of challenge, whether it's with your family or it's with work, and you're like, this is really hard. Or it could be something really, really cool. You could have a really neat idea, some new venture that you want to start, you just want to break out on. Maybe you want to quit being a software developer and be a full-time musician. And you're like, I don't know how I am going to pull this off. I know I really want to do it, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. And here's what I don't think Spirit says. Spirit does not say, hop on my back. I am going to take you and your fear and your weakness, and I'm going to take you all the way to the other side. I'm going to drop you off. When we are at a challenge or a crossroads or some thing that we've got across that is our Niagara Falls, I think that God says, look up. We are one mind, one body, and one soul. When I breathe, you breathe. When I move, you move. What I know, you know. There's no separate you and me. From here on out, we are together. We are one all the way to the end. And so we're reminded of, you could go to the next slide, to be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid or discouraged, because wherever you are, God is. And every single day, we can go to the next one, every single day, you wake up with the full force of the universe alive within you. And it's ready to be called forth at any time. Now, this is the story of when I had to be strong and courageous, when I had to remember all of that, when I was swirling around in my humanity. So 4 years ago, actually it's been 6 years ago, I quit my job. I was a software developer. I'd been a software developer for 21 years. But I was also a full-time musician. And so it had gotten to the point where I had this full-time software job and this full-time music job, and I wasn't going to be able to do both of them well. So one of them had to go. And I knew that I had been called to do this, to be a songwriter for these spiritual communities. And so I was going to quit. And I took this leap because Christy and I were both in our 40s. And Christy's mom had passed, and she had Alzheimer's. And at that point, we decided that we weren't going to let one thing go by. We were going to live our lives to the fullest. And so, there were these leaps that we were going to have to take. And so I quit at 47, and I knew that at 47, the way technology moves, there was no way that I was going to be able to get back in if I changed my mind. So it was all or nothing. And not only that, but my relationship with Christy was pretty new. And so we were together, and we were planning to leave California and start a whole new life together, a whole new life. And we bought a new house together. And my daughter had graduated from high school and was going to start college. And she had never been out on her own before, so she was going to have to now move out of her childhood home and live by herself. So all of this stuff was so exciting, and it was all so incredibly stressful. Every single day, it was just 1,000 thoughts and worries, and just wanting to make sure that I was making the right decision for every single person that was involved. But what I can tell you is, whenever we are swirling around in our humanity, God is not swirling. You and I are one mind, one body, one soul. When I breathe, you breathe. When I move, you move. What I know, you know. And so whenever I start to feel like I'm in the weeds, you can show that next slide. All I have to do is pull out the picture of my very last day of work when Christy and I went to Disneyland. We went to Disneyland for 2 days. Or I take a picture of our house in Colorado Springs on closing day. Or I take a look at the video of when Christy and I invited our California friends to come to visit and meet our Colorado friends, and they didn't realize that what they were actually walking into was our wedding reception. When I breathe, you breathe. When I move, you move. What I know, you know. One mind, one body, one soul, all the way to the end. So be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid. Because wherever you are, God is. And so what I want to do right now is I just want to invite you to close your eyes. And we're going to go into a meditation. And at the end, I'm going to sing either for you or with you. And you can join me, or you could just sit in that space and just be with those words. But I want to invite you to just close your eyes and take a deep breath and let it out. Let's take a deep, deep breath again and release it. And just right now, feel yourself supported by that chair underneath you, that floor below your feet, these 4 walls around you, enfolding you in all this love and support, friendship, family, and the Spirit of God that is just moving through this room right now. I want you to take a moment and I want you to just listen as this Spirit of love speaks words to you, words of love and encouragement. I am strong and courageous. Wherever I am, God is. I am strong and courageous. Wherever I am, God is. I want you to take a moment. I want to invite you to take a quick glimpse back to a moment when you had to be strong, when you had to persevere or figure something out or be somebody's rock. And it's not because we want to think back to some hard time, but because I want you to acknowledge your strength. Take a moment to look back and see how strong and courageous you have been. I want you to store that memory like a photo or a video that you can call up any time that you needed to be reminded of your strength, of your own strength. When you're ready, call up to mind the name or the image of somebody that you know could use these words of strength. And remind them that they are strong and courageous. Wherever they are, God is. And just say that to them. You are strong and courageous. Wherever you are, God is. Know that for them. You are never stuck. Never. You are never alone. The answers are always there. You are strong and courageous. We're going to spend a little bit of time in the silence. And then I'm going to start playing. And you're welcome to join me, or you're welcome to just spend time in this song and hold those words. I am made of the light that hung the stars in the night, a perfect thought since time began. I am one with the love that's holding all of us. Its power in my hands. I am. I am called by the voice that speaks of truth and joy, forever blessed where I stand. I am. I just want to bring you out now, if you haven't already come out of your meditation, and just bless you for this time. Thank you so much for having me with you. I've had such a great time being with you, so blessings. Thank you. All right, now Denise Rosier is going to be singing some music for us, singing some songs for us. You change dust into gardens and pieces into peace, tears into fountains, and chains into release. You are doubt into action, vision renewed, perfect creation, unfolding in view. You hold all of heaven inside you. No matter what you go through, and if your dreams burn down to ashes, you rise again. You are the light of God, the power of prayer lifted up. Every breath testifies you are the light. You are the light. You are the light. You hold all of heaven inside you. No matter what you go through, and if your dreams burn down to ashes, rise again. You are the light of God, the power of prayer lifted up. Every breath testifies you are the light. You are the light. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You are the light of God, the power of prayer lifted up. Every breath testifies you are the light. You are the light. You are the light. You are the light. The light. Dust into gardens and pieces into peace.
So